applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse. Mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running toes, they gon' take a few to lose. Built to win, applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back with another episode. And today we will be going over the second part of the round of 64. So part 2 of the round of 64. Yesterday was a rough one. We went 9-7, which is not good to my standard. To me, I don't care about being 500. We went from last year having a perfect bracket through day 1 to this year, bracket busted by game 3. Like, my bracket's cooked. It's over with. But hopefully we make up for it today because, again, yesterday, rough day, 9-7. We had North Carolina have a 19-point lead. I actually fell asleep on that game, so I didn't even see the lead grow to 19. I was up since like 5:30 yesterday, fell asleep on the game. Woke up, North Carolina lost. Was very surprised in that. Wisconsin, I said it all the last month. Wisconsin's a team that could lose in the first round, or Wisconsin's a team that can make the Final Four. I even said it yesterday. And Wisconsin lost in the first round. And I had Wisconsin going deep into the tournament. So that one hurt. I also said I seen the TCU Ohio State matchup. When I first seen it, I thought TCU off Bucks right away. TCU. Slap on it. I'm like, nah, Bruce Thornton not going out like that his first game. And Bruce Thornton literally went like that in his first game. So I was upset about that because I, from the jump, said TCU. But me thinking about Bruce Thornton in his senior year and maybe going on a tournament run definitely caused me there. Duke escaped Siena. Shout out Nebraska for winning their first tournament game ever. Beating Troy by almost 30. They were up 30 at one point. So shout out Nebraska, for winning their first tournament game ever. St. Louis played terrible down the stretch of the year, but you couldn't tell by how they stomped Georgia. Very surprised that Jeremiah Wilkinson came off the bench for Georgia. I mean, that Georgia looked horrible. Looked absolutely horrible. Didn't play no defense, couldn't score the ball. Looked terrible. So that's another one of my losses there. What else happened yesterday? Shout out definitely was. Shout out Stand On Business, man. Keep coming through the stream. Definitely appreciate you. Definitely was very insane. I thought at one point they might actually pull it off, but Duke ended up coming through late game and getting the dub. Shout out my Spartans. We did win by like 20 plus, I believe. I think we ended up winning by like 25 or something like that. But shout out my boys. Definitely got the job done. We will play Louisville. Speaking of Louisville, South Florida had a horrendous day from the 3-point line. Horrendous day, bro. And that contributed to the loss to Louisville. I feel like if they shot a little bit better, they would have beat Louisville. But shoulda, coulda, woulda, don't mean nothing. You are eliminated. Yes, sir. Happy March Madness. Not going the greatest for your boy, but definitely still entertained, and I still love to watch. But it ain't going the greatest for your boy this year. Had a super high last year, very low this year, and State definitely handled business. We play Louisville tomorrow. Gonzaga looked like they were dealing with a scare for a little while against Kennesaw State. Actually got the job done. They move on. McNeese McNeese came out hot against Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt weathered through the storm and second half pretty much handled McNeese to a dub. So shout out Vanderbilt for that. Shout out Coach Mark Byington for that. His first win since he was at JMU in the tournament where they beat Wisconsin. Funny enough, God, Wisconsin. I gotta stop believing in Wisconsin too. Wisconsin got to get added to the list of people I would never fall for again. It has to. I don't think Wisconsin escaped the first round in a little while, so they got to get added to the list. I'm trying to think of a little bit more that happened yesterday before we get into the games we got for today, because I had a little bit. I went live a little early, so we got a little extra time. Yesterday, what else happened? TCU, Ohio State, Nebraska beat Troy. Wisconsin lost to High Point at the end of the game. And, man, shout out Chase Johnson, too, by the way, for High Point, man. He hit some ballsy shots down the stretch that led to High Point winning. He hit a three from the NCAA, like literally the NCAA circle. He hit a three from there, and they were down like 8 at the time. And that was early in the shot clock. So the balls to take and make that shot was insane by him. And also shout out Rob Martin. Had an incredible game throughout the entirety of the game. But that was a crazy shot to take and make. He actually went hot down the stretch. I don't think he missed down the stretch, actually. So shout out to him for that. Wisconsin didn't play bad. It's just Chase Johnson just caught fire. And, hey, man, it is what it is. That's the tournament. Arkansas, Darius Acuff had another great performance, 24-7. But Arkansas had a great performance all around as they dominated Hawaii. Shout out to them. Texas, AJ DeBanster had 35. Rob Wright, I think, had like 18. Didn't matter. Texas wins against BYU. They move on. Texas A&M wins against St. Mary's by double digits. They win 63-50. That kind of screwed me over there. St. Mary's, man, very disappointed in that one. Texas A&M, I felt like wasn't playing the greatest basketball down the stretch, but got it done against St. Mary's. Illinois absolutely destroyed UPenn, which I seen that coming. Keaton Wagler, boy, what a day for him and David Mirkovich. They had good days for Illinois against UPenn, and I believe that is all the games, if I'm not mistaken. If I missed one, I apologize. I'm doing this off the cuff. So if I missed one, I apologize. But let's move on into today's matchups where we try to be better today. And we're going to start with the first game today, 10 seed Santa Clara in their region, taking on 7 seed Kentucky in their region. This game is 12:15 on CBS, the first game of the day. And Kentucky is 2.5-point favorites in this matchup. Now, Santa Clara, they're led by Christian Hammond. Christian Hammond is a bucket for Santa Clara. He's averaging 15.8 points per game and 1.2 steals. Elijah Mahi averaging 13.9 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, and 1.4 steals. And Allen Graves averaging 11.6 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 2 steals per game. Now, that X factor to me is actually going to be Jake Esminger, who's averaging 5.5 rebounds per game, and they're going to need his help in eliminating second chances for Kentucky. Kentucky having guys like Brandon Garrison, Malachi Marino, and Mohamed Diabate down low. They're going to have to be on the boards as a collective, and I think he's going to be a great part of it. Next, Kentucky. They are led by Otega Owe. Otega Owe is a guy that gets to the cup, man. He can get to the basket. He's averaging 18.2 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, and 1.8 steals. Denzel Aberdeen averaging 13.2 points per game and 3.6 assists. And Malachi Marino averaging 8 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks per game. Now, my X factor, I feel like you can go with either or. I chose Mohamed Diabate, but you can go Brandon Garrison as well. Help controlling that paint down low. Shot blocking and getting rebounds. Diabate is averaging 8.7 points per game and 5.5 rebounds for Kentucky. So either or, it was cool with me, but I went with Diabate. But my winner, I'm sorry, Kentucky. I had a feeling when this game was released, I went with Santa Clara. I did, man. And I'm not saying that Kentucky can't win this game, because obviously Kentucky can win this game. But again, just like when the TCU Ohio State matchup was released, and I instantly thought TCU, when Santa Clara Kentucky was released, I instantly thought Santa Clara. And I think Santa Clara they've been dealing with teams with size, with the St. Mary's of the WCC and the Gonzaga of the WCC, and they play them tough. And I think Santa Clara is a really good defensive team. They have athletes. Now, I don't think they want to just get out and like run all the time. Can they? Absolutely. But I mean, I'll say this. I know Santa Clara wants to run, but I know Santa Clara can also slow it down. They can slow it down and run offense in the half court. But I think Santa Clara is good enough to beat this Kentucky team. I'm rolling with Santa Clara, excuse me. I like Christian Hammond. He can score from anywhere on the floor. Allen Graves he's tough to handle down low. They do have a 7-footer. He doesn't play majority of the game. And Bucky Oboye, but he can come in and give them some serviceable minutes. Sometimes I do again feel like he may mess up the flow of the offense, but defensively he can come in and give them some minutes. Kentucky. Really good team, can attack the basket. Again, I like Colin Chandler, also a sneaky athlete, can shoot the 3-ball. But I do think Kentucky can be susceptible to an upset. So I'm going to roll with the upset here. Excuse me. We're going to take Santa Clara over Kentucky in this matchup. And yeah, Otega always definitely grown since the days of Oklahoma. Shout out to you. But we'll move on to Akron, 12 seed Akron versus 5th seed Texas Tech. And everything I looked up says that all signs point to Christian Anderson playing. They even said he's close to 100% from the groin injury from the Big 12 tournament, from that stupid LED floor. I'm so glad they changed that mid-tournament. Never bring that back. But that game is 12:40 on True TV. Texas Tech is actually 7.5-point favorites in this matchup. Akron, they're led by Tavari Johnson, who's averaging 20.1 points per game, 5 assists and 1.3 steals. Amani Louds averaging 14.6 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 1 steal. And Shamar Scott averaging 12.7 points per game. Again, the guy who hit the game-winning 3 against Toledo in the MAC championship game. Their X factor to me is going to be Bowen Hartman and his 3-point shooting ability. He's shooting the ball at 40.7% from the 3-point line. And I think that might be big against the Texas Tech team, who is really good defensively. They can score themselves. They do have 3-point shooters in Anderson, Atwell, and Petty. So his 3-point shot, as well as Shamar Scott's, may help neutralize Texas Tech 3-point shooting ability. Speaking of Texas Tech, they are led by Christian Anderson. Christian Anderson is averaging 18.9 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 7.6 assists, and 1.3 steals. LaJuan Watts averaging 11.5 points per game and 6 rebounds, and Donovan Atwell averaging 13.5 points per game and 1.2 steals per game. Now, that X factor to me is the X factor I didn't have ever since JT Toppin has gone down, and that is Jalen Petty. Jalen Petty, he is scoring 12.8 points per game in his last 4 games, and he's shooting the 3-ball at 37.2% from the 3-point line. So Jalen Petty, if he has another great day, that would be very good for Texas Tech. And I ultimately chose Texas Tech. Love John Gross as a coach. I think Grant McCaslin might be a little better. Love Akron as a team. Think Texas Tech, even without JT Toppin, might be just a little bit better. Now, I think this is going to be a really good game. And I even on my Selection Sunday and my Monday show said that this game is a potential upset. But I think with Christian Anderson playing, Christian Anderson, man, I love me some Christian Anderson. I say that, man. He plays the game like with to me, he plays it fearless. He can shoot, gets to the basket, he plays defense. That's what I love about it most. But I think Christian Anderson has a monster game here. I think Christian Anderson can have a Darius Acuff game, not in terms of how they play. Like Acuff just hits tough shots, off balance shots and stuff like that. But in terms of like a big scoring output and also dishing the rock to other players on the team. And not to say nothing against Akron, but Akron does tend to lend up points. And I think Texas Tech is the better defensive team here. So I'm going to go with the team that's the better defensive team, but also can score with Akron. And I'm going to take Texas Tech in this matchup over Akron. Now, next, we have Coach not Speedy Claxton. I keep saying Speedy Claxton. Speedy Claxton's Hofstra. We have Coach Rod Strickland and the LIU Sharks taking on Arizona. Number 1 seed Arizona. This game is 135 on TNT. Arizona is 30.5-point favorite. Side note, last season that was a 30.5-point favorite one, but did not cover in Michigan versus Howard. But LIU, they're led by Jamal Fuller, averaging 16.4 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1.1 blocks. Malachi Davis, averaging 14.4 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, and 1.2 steals. And Greg Gordon, averaging 14.1 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 1.8 steals. He is a guard that plays bigger than his size. Their X factor to me It's gonna be Sandrick Lusu, who's got his hands full, man. He got his hands full going against three guys in that post. He going against Toby Owaka, he's going against Maniunas Krivas, and he's going against Koa Pete. So his hands are going to be full down low with those three guys. I'm pretty sure they're going to be running doubles at Krivas. May let Owaka go one-on-one at times, but Krivas for sure, I'm pretty sure they're running doubles at. Now Arizona, they're led by Braden Burries, freshman, averaging 15.9 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, and 1.6 steals. Koa Pete, averaging 13.6 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, and Jaden Bradley, averaging 13.3 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. Now, their X factor to me is going to be Maniunas Krivas. Krivas has to dominate the paint. He's averaging 10.5 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks per game. He has to dominate this paint. He is a 7-footer. They have no one size-wise that matches up with him. He has to be the dominating force for Arizona. But my winner, I'm going with Arizona. Arizona is a team, if they play to their full potential every game, that could win the NCAA tournament. Now, I know I've been scarred by Arizona in the past. I brought it up on multiple occasions. But that aside, Arizona is a team that could win it all. And so I think their run starts now. They beat LIU, and they move on to they play the winner, not of Clemson, Iowa. They play the winner of I think Utah State and Villanova. But I do have Arizona winning this. I think they're just too much they're just too talented for LIU. And we move on to Wright State versus UVA. UVA, not quite in this predicament. Last time they lost in the round of first round, they were actually a 4 seed when they lost to Furman, who was a 13 seed. This year, they are a 3 seed going against 14 seed Wright State. Also, new head coach, obviously, Tony Bennett is no longer there. Their new head coach is Ryan Odom. I always say, funny enough, the coach that beat them as a 16 seed at UMBC. But Wright State won the Horizon League, and Wright State is led by Michael Cooper, averaging 13.4 points per game. Oh, by the way, UVA 17.5 point favorites. This game is 150 on TBS. Now, again, led by Michael Cooper. TJ Birch averaging 12.3 points per game, 3.5 assists, 2.5 steals, and Michael Imaregbe averaging 11.8 points per game and 7 rebounds per game. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Solomon Callaghan. Is it Callahan? I think it's Callahan. Solomon Callahan, his three-point shooting ability, he's shooting the ball at 38.6% from the three-point line, and he's averaging 9.9 points per game. So UVA is a school that can shoot the three ball with Jakari White, Sam Lewis, Chance Mallory, Malik Thomas. So his three-point shooting, it won't neutralize the whole UVA. Don't get that misconstrued, but it can help. Now, UVA, they're led by Theus DeRitter, averaging 15.5 points per game, 6.2 rebounds. Malik Thomas, averaging 12.4 points per game, 3.9 rebounds. And Sam Lewis at 10.8 points per game and 3.6 rebounds per game. Now, their X factor, actually with Uganda and Uosu, the big fella who comes off the bench, he's averaging 3 blocks per game. So controlling the paint and shot blocking will be big. Making Wright State chuck up a bunch of threes because him and Grunlow are patrolling the paint. I think Grunlow's averaging like over 2 blocks a game. So those two will be big in the paint. When one comes out, the other comes in. So definitely going with UVA. UVA is a really good defensive team as well. Very good. And that's kind of what they've been, even with like the Tony Bennett era. And I think that's kind of what they lacked when Tony Bennett left. So they're a really good defensive team that can actually score the basketball. That was kind of the difference to me this year for Virginia. Normally, they're a defensive team, but they struggle scoring the basketball. I think the last time Tony Bennett, well, beyond the national championship year, but the last time beyond the national championship year, I remember a UVA team that could score the ball. And they still struggled at times. It was like London Parentes and Malcolm Brogdon. And I think Anthony Gill was on that team, but I'm missing another shooter or scorer. But, yeah, that year. But I got UVA, man. UVA, again, one of those situations where I just feel like they are way too talented. I think Wright State did well in conference, but non-conference, I think Wright State actually didn't do so hot. So I like UVA here. I think UVA is way too talented. They shoot the three ball at a really good level. They can score the basketball, like I said. Really good defensive team. I like UVA in this matchup over Wright State. Next, We have Tennessee State, 15 seed Tennessee State versus 2 seed Iowa State. Shout out again, Coach Nolan Smith, for again a historic season here. First time in the tournament since the 94-95 season. Iowa State is 24.5-point favorites. This game is 250 on CBS. And again, if you haven't seen Tennessee State, they have two guards that can really go, led by the Conference Player of the Year, Aaron Necroma. Aaron Necroma is averaging 17.6 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 2.8 steals. Travis Harper II averaging 17.3 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, and 1 steal. And Dante Harris averaging 11.7 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.7 steals per game. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Antoine Laric III. Him playing defense, he's averaging 5 rebounds per game and 1.4 blocks per game. He's going to have his hands tied with Joshua Jefferson and Blake Buchanan down low for the Cyclones. Now, the Cyclones, they are led by Tamin Lipsey. Stand on business thinking like me, because I can't wait for that one either. I want to see how those two guards fare against Iowa State. But they're led by Tamin Lipsey, averaging 13.3 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2.2 steals. Joshua Jefferson averaging 16.9 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 4.9 assists, and 1.7 steals. And Milan Mamasilovic averaging 17.1 points per game. Now, Iowa State's X factor to me, and I said this before, is going to be Killian Torrey. Killian Torrey's on-ball defense is like elite. He's an elite on-ball defender. So I'm interested to see how he does on-ball against whoever they put him on, whether it's Necroma or Harper. But to me, that's going to be the X factor for Iowa State. And he's averaging 1.4 steals per game. Now, I wait with Iowa State in this matchup just because I feel like Tennessee State matches up with them guard play-wise, but front court-wise, Iowa State has the clear advantage. And I do like they do have guys like Nate Heisey who can hit clutch shots. It's the 3-ball at a phenomenal clip as well. Bateman can shoot the 3-ball. So I do like Iowa State in this matchup, but I'm not mad at anybody that take the plus 24.5 here with Tennessee State. Again, these guards can really wreak havoc, and they could possibly wreak havoc for Iowa State here. So definitely interested to see what Necroma and Harper does against this Iowa State defense. But I'm taking Iowa State, but I ain't mad at anybody taking that 24.5. I'm really not. Said he can't wait for this one. Yeah, I can't wait either. Next, we got Hofstra versus Alabama. Hofstra, the 13th seed. This is Coach Speedy Claxton. And Bama, the 4th seed, coached by Coach Nate Oates. Bama is favored by 11.5 in this matchup. This game is, as I try to get back to my banners, this game is at 3:15 on True TV. Now, Hofstra, again, a really good team, can score the ball, going against Alabama, who scores the ball at an elite level. Even without Aiden Holloway. Obviously, Aiden Holloway is out due to the whole situation at Alabama. I'm not saying anybody's guilty or innocent, because to me, you're innocent until proven guilty. Good luck with everything going on, Aiden. But they are obviously going to be without Aiden Holloway, who's going through legal trouble. But I've seen them go on without Aiden Holloway in the past due to injury. And guys like Latrell Wright-Sale, Houston Millette, Taylor Bowen, Sherrell, they all stepped up. Alabama, again, scores at an elite level. Now, defense, oof. I can't give you much about Alabama defense, but offensively, again, elite. But anyway, Hofstra, led by Cruz Davis, 20.2 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 4.6 assists, and 1.1 steals. Preston Edmead averaging 15.9 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. And Biggie Patterson averaging 9.5 points per game and 5.6 rebounds. The X factor to me is going to be German Platnikov, who's averaging 9.3 points per game. In his last 3, he's averaging 12, and he shoots the 3-ball at 37.7% from the 3-point line. I think that's going to be big. Again, going against an Alabama team who scores at an elite level, you got to match them offensively. You got to win a shootout against Alabama. And yeah, man, I don't know who dropped the dime on Aiden. I don't know what's going on with Aiden. I hope it's not true, because that's terrible for, Aiden was a guy at one point, I believe, that was like high on people's draft boards. But man, I hope it's not true. But again, he's innocent until proven guilty. I know a lot of people like to just make people guilty off bucks. I'm not one of them. You're innocent until proven guilty. But Bama, they're led by LeBaron Fallon, who's league ready. LeBaron Fallon is like that, averaging 21.7 points per game, 4.7 assists, and 1.1 steals. Amari Allen averaging 11.7 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. And Latrell Ricell in place of Aiden Holloway, averaging 12.8 points per game and 1 steal per game. Now, that X factor to me is going to be Houston Millette, who is shooting the ball at 34.9% from the three-point line. I think he's going to be big with his three-point shooting to match the absence as well of Aiden Holloway. So my X factor is going to be Houston Millette. But my winner in this one, I'm going to go with Bama, man, because even without Aiden, they still score the ball at an elite clip. So Hofstra is going to have their hands full trying to match Alabama offensively. Now, if I remember correctly, I think I did end up taking 11.5 with Hofstra because I think Hofstra can score the ball. Speedy Claxton knows that he's going his team's offense is going to have to step up tremendously. But man, Alabama is just a juggernaut offensively. Now, defensively, again, they ain't got too much for you. They can get stops, they get timely stops, they can even go on stretches where the defense looks better. But in totality, not a great defensive team. So I'm gonna take Bama, but I did take 11.5 with the Hofstra pride in that matchup. And yes, I think Fallon's gonna step up as well. I think Fallon, if this was Fallon's team by himself, he might be averaging close to 25. Like if this was just Fallon by himself, he could be averaging in the ranges of 25 to like 27. So I think he'll be fine. Next, we have Utah State versus Villanova. Again, this is one of those matchups where I saw it and I picked my team immediately. Utah State's actually a 9 seed who's favored it by 1.5 points against Villanova. This game is 4-10 on TNT. Shout out Coach Kevin Willard having Villanova in the dance for the first time in a while. But Utah State, they are led by MJ Collins. MJ Collins is averaging 17.6 points per game. Mason Forslev, the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, averaging 16.1 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, and 2 steals. And Drake Allen averaging 7.7 points per game, 4.7 assists, and 2 steals. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Carson Templin. Carson Templin off the bench is averaging 9.1 points per game, and he's going to have to provide a ton of scoring off the bench, just like Devin Askew does for the Villanova Wildcats. Speaking of Villanova, they are led by Akaden Lewis, averaging 12.3 points per game, 5.3 assists, and 1.9 steals per game. Tony Perkins averaging 13.7 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 1.2 steals. And Duke Brennan averaging 12.4 points per game and 10.3 rebounds. Now, their X factor to me, he has to be on today, is Bryce Lindsey. Bryce Lindsey is averaging 11.9 points per game, and he's shooting the 3 ball at 34.6% from 3, round up to 35. Need that to be a little bit better. That's not even bad. 35% is actually really good, but need that to be better today for Villanova to have a chance. And my winner is Utah State. I am going with the 9 seed over the 8 seed. When I first seen this matchup, I immediately went to Utah State. Didn't even think Utah State was going to be favored, to be honest, but I'm not surprised they were favored because Villanova is missing Matt Hodge. Again, I think that's a bigger injury than what people might anticipate. Don't know if I'm going to get good Drake Lindsey, who's knocking down the 3 ball at an elite level, if I'm going to get bad Drake Lindsey or inconsistent Drake Lindsey for Villanova. And Akaden Lewis is really, really good, but he can go quiet at spots. So I'm going to take Utah State. Villanova's a really good defensive team, too. Really good. I think the reason why they're even here is because of how well they are defensively. But at times, Villanova can go from the field. Utah State is the team that can play defense. I'm not going to say they're a defensive team. They can play it, though, and they can score the ball really well. So I'm taking Utah State in this matchup over Villanova, especially with the injury to Matt Hodge being out for the year. Next, this is the game I can't wait for either, man. I just want to see it, man. I fell in love with the team. I keep telling y'all, I fell in love with Miami of Ohio last season when they played App State in the Sun Belt MAC Challenge and won at 7.5 point dogs. That's when I fell in love with Miami of Ohio last year. Oh, I'm sorry, Miami. But they're taking on Tennessee in this game that I deemed the battle of teams playing with fire. Tennessee can go up 15 to 20 points at halftime. They can go up 15 to 20 points with 10 minutes left in the game and somehow blow it. Miami of Ohio, they've been playing with fire all year. Didn't play with fire in the round of 68. Definitely got that lead and maintained it. But they lost to UMass, playing with fire. I think the game against Buffalo, they ended up pulling out. No, was that Buffalo Kent State where they ended up winning by like 2 points off to like some craziness at the end of the game? They played with fire all year. So This is going to be an interesting matchup, in my opinion. Now, Tennessee is favored by 11.5 points. This game is 425 on TBS. Now, Miami of Ohio, led by Peter Suter. Peter Suter is averaging 14.4 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists, and 1.3 steals. Brent Byers, 14.4 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, and Ian Elmer averaging 12.9 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, and 1.2 steals. Their X factor to me was kind of the X factor against SMU, and that's Luke Scaljak. Luke Scaljak got super hot towards the end of the game. My Lord. He's shooting the ball at 35.7% from three, and he's averaging 10.5 points per game. He's going to be big because Travis, y'all heard Travis Steele, Coach Travis Steele, excuse me, my apologies, Coach. Coach Travis Steele, he wanted to shoot upwards of 43 pointers against SMU. He said, we shoot 43s. That is a good game. And I'm pretty sure he's coming out with that same mentality against Tennessee, especially because Tennessee obviously has the interior one with Estrella, Carey, and Felix Akpara. Miami of Ohio knows they cannot touch them in the interior. So I'm not surprised if Travis Hunter has another game plan of shooting 43s. But Tennessee, they are led by Jacoby Gillespie, averaging 18 points per game, 5.5 assists, and 2.1 steals. Nate Amen averaging 17.5 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, and 1 steal. And Felix Akpara averaging 7.7 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks per game. Now, that X factor to me is really two. It's Amari Evans, because I think Amari Evans played well in the absence of Nate Amen. He has to score the basketball and play really good perimeter defense, obviously against a team that wants to shoot the ball from the three-point line. And my second one, I need to see Bishop Boswell actually step up in this game, man. I need him to make shots. If I'm Tennessee, I need him to make shots in this game. He's not been shooting the ball well of late. He needs to shoot the ball better today because he's going against a team that's going to fire up them three balls. Now, with that being said, I do think that Tennessee, with their interior presence, is going to win this ball game. But I think I'm not, again, mad at anybody taking the points in this matchup because Miami of Ohio can shoot the three ball, but you can also live by the three ball and you can also die by the three ball. So that's going to be tough, but I am taking Tennessee. I don't know if I necessarily see Miami of Ohio dying from the three ball, but I can see if Miami of Ohio goes up in this matchup, Tennessee roaring back because, again, Miami of Ohio plays with fire. But love this season. Win, lose, or draw. Miami of Ohio had an incredible season. Would have loved to see them win the MAC championship, conference tournament championship. End up not happening, but taking Tennessee in this matchup. I'm so sorry, Miami of Ohio. We move on to 9-seed Iowa taking on 8-seed Clemson in their region. This game is 6:50 on TNT. Iowa is actually favored by 2.5 points. Again, Carter Willen has the torn ACL. He is out for the season. Even though I don't know why. From where I get my injuries from, Johnny said he was questionable. He's out. But anyway, Iowa, led by Ben McCullum and Bennett Sturts, man. Bennett Sturts averaging 20 points per game, 4.5 assists, and 1.5 steals. Tavion Banks averaging 10.5 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, and 1 steal. And Cam Manyow averaging 7.1 points per game and 4.5 rebounds per game. Their X factor to me is going to be the 6'11" Alvaro Folgueras, who's averaging 8.1 points per game. He's going to be dealing with Nick Davidson and RJ Godfrey. So he's going to have to put up buckets and try to get some stops defensively because Clemson can definitely attack the interior. But, I mean, he does have guys like Cam Manyow and things like that down low as well, Cooper Koch. So Iowa has an interior presence of their own, but I think the interior for Iowa is going to be huge, as well as other people got to help Iowa score. But we move on to Clemson. Clemson's led by RJ Godfrey, averaging 11.9 points per game and 5.3 rebounds. Justin Porter averaging 9.6 points per game and 1.2 steals. And Nick Davidson averaging 9.1 points per game and 4.1 rebounds per game. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Dylan Hunter, and he's got to provide more scoring at the guard positions. They're only averaging 7.5 points per game. Definitely, if you're a Clemson fan, you need him to take and make shots to help the Clemson Tigers. But I ultimately went with Iowa. Coach Ben McCullum. First of all, he's not new to winning round 1 of the tournament. Well, round of 64 in the tournament. Drake beat, was it Iowa, funny enough? Who did Drake beat? I can't remember, but he won a game with Drake last year in the round of 64. Dang, was it really Iowa? I can't remember, but they beat somebody in the round of 64 last year. So they have the tournament experience. Clemson lost last year to McNeese in the round of 64, got upset. So I'm taking Iowa in this matchup. I think Bennett Sturts will go crazy. He'll have a crazy game today. He's tough to stop, man. Even if Bennett Sturts starts off cold, he just needs to see one go through the basket, and it's like a switch just flips. But Clemson, I think Carter Williams' injury is very big, obviously. And they're going to need guys like Nick Davidson and RJ Godfrey. RJ Godfrey is doing his part, but even play a little bit more. I think I trust Bennett Sturts more than I trust someone from Clemson to step up. So give me the Hawkeyes at 2.5 to win this game. Next, again, I've seen a lot of people pick this game. I don't know why, but hey, crazy things have happened. We have Northern Iowa, which again, I watch Northern Iowa a ton. Like I every year check for Northern Iowa. I remember watching AJ Green at Northern Iowa before a lot of people knew who AJ Green was. Shout out to him, still in the NBA. But they will be taking on the St. John's Red Storm tonight, 7:00, 7:10 on CBS. St. John's is favored by 9.5 points. Now, UNI, they are led by Trey Campbell. Trey Campbell averaging 13.7 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 1.6 steals. Leon Bond III averaging 11.9 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, and Will Hornseth averaging 11.2 points per game and 4.6 rebounds per game. Now, that X factor to me is going to be Max Westbrook. He's shooting the three ball at 38.7% from three. He's going to need to bring all that explosive three-point shooting against the St. John's team that can really go on both ends of the floor. Now, St. John's, they're led by Zuby Ejiofor, averaging 16.3 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.2 steals, 2.1 blocks. Bryce Hopkins averaging 13.5 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. And Ozias Salas averaging 10.7 points per game, also a three-point shooter in his own right. Again, their X factor to me is always going to be is mainly going to be Dylan Mitchell. He's like their ultimate glue guy. He's averaging 8.2 points per game and 7 rebounds per game. Ultimate glue guy, transfer from Texas. Well, he played at Texas. I can't remember if that was the last place he transferred from. But ultimate glue guy definitely can help dominate the paint, especially against UNI. And I'm taking St. John's, man. St. John's is just way too explosive offensively for me against UNI. Zuby Ejiofor should have a dominant performance against UNI. Trey Campbell, really good player, but can go cold. Absolutely can go cold. I'm taking St. John's in this one. I would even take St. John's minus 9.5 if I'm being honest with y'all. But I'm going with St. John's in this matchup. Next, this is a really good matchup here. For my bracket, I actually went back and forth in this one. UCF, 10th seed UCF taking on 7th seed UCLA. Now, before I start talking about these games, this game, I would like to say that from what I see, Riley Kugel is a go for UCF. They said he was a full participant in practice. John Bowe is good to go. They say he was a participant. And they said JaMychal Stillwell Wednesday at the team send-off was in a boot, but was a full participant in practice yesterday. Or Friday. So he left UCF in a boot, but apparently he's good to go. That's just what I see. And now for UCLA, I didn't even see Donovan Dent on the injury report, so he should be solid. And I've seen that Tyler Bilodeau is good to go as well for UCLA. So it looks like both teams are good to go for their matchup against each other on TBS at 7:25. UCLA is 5.5-point favorites. Now, UCF, they are led by Riley Kugel. Riley Kugel played for Florida last year. He's averaging 14.4 points per game and 1 steal. JaMychal Stillwell averaging 11. No, he didn't play for Florida last year. I think he played for Florida 2 years ago, but he did come from Florida. He's averaging 11.7 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. And Thomas Folks averaging 14.1 points per game, 6.7 assists. Now, my X factor is John Bowe. John Bowe is going to have to be big in the paint, going against guys like Tyler Bilodeau, going against guys maybe like Xavier Booker, maybe, and Eric Daly, who's 6'8". So his shot blocking and his paint presence is going to be big for UCF. He's averaging 1.1 points per game, blocks per game. And he's also going to be, Donovan Dent is a guy that loves to penetrate. So shot blocking is going to be huge. Now, UCLA, they are led by Donovan Dent, who's been playing some of the best basketball lately at point guard. Now, not the best, because, honestly, we all know he's been playing the best basketball point guard lately, but he's been up there. Averaging 13.5 points per game, 7.6 assists, and 1.6 steals. Tyler Bilodeau averaging 17.6 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, can take you outside and shoot the long ball. And Scott Clark averaging 11.7 points per game, 1.2 steals. Now, I could have said my X factor was Trent Perry, who's averaging like 13 points per game, but I actually went with Eric Daly. Eric Daly's averaging 11.3 points per game, and I think he's a really good defender as well, so at least above average defender. So I think he's going to be big in this matchup for UCLA and their defense, as well as providing scoring for UCLA. But ultimately, I went UCLA. Now, UCLA has been playing better basketball down the stretch, and I get it. UCF has been dealing with some injuries. But I watched UCF. They're a good defensive team. And I like Johnny Dawkins. I just think UCLA has too much firepower possibly for UCF. Sky Clark can shoot the three. Donovan Dent can shoot the three. Trent Perry can shoot the three. Tyler Bilodeau can shoot the three. Xavier Booker can shoot the three. Like, they have a lot of guys that can beat you outside. And UCLA has beaten teams like Michigan State, like Purdue. So they're battle tested. I do think UCLA is battle tested, man. So I went with UCLA. I think this is a good game. I think this game could go either way. You can make an argument for UCF as well as how good they are defensively. Guys like Riley Kugel and Thomas Folk scoring the ball, Stillwell averaging getting double doubles. But ultimately, again, I went UCLA. This game was tough. I went UCLA though. Next, we have Queens University versus Purdue, 15 versus 2 in their region. This game is 7:35 on True TV. Purdue is 25.5-point favorites. Forgot to put the minus sign there. Queens coming out of the ASUN, I believe, if I believe correctly. Yeah, because I think they beat Central Arkansas. Yeah, they did. Nasir Man, 13.4 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. Can't forget to mention Chris Ashby, who had like 30, I think he had 34 against Central Arkansas. So he had a heck of a game, and he needed all 34 because Central Arkansas, I can't remember his name right now, but Brad had 49 for Central Arkansas. So he went crazy. But Yavav Berman averaging 12.6 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. And Jordan Wofford averaging 11.9 points per game and 3.8 assists. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Avante Parker, who has his hands full with Trey Kaufman-Renn and Oscar Clough. Oscar Clough has been an integral part of Purdue winning these games of late, including winning the Big Ten tournament. Purdue, led by Braden Smith, 14 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 9.1 assists, which is not leading the country. My boy is. Shout out my boy, Jeremy Fierce. And he didn't have no incidents yesterday for all those. All the people. 1.8 steals. And Trey Kaufman-Renn averaging 13.6 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and Fletcher Lawyer averaging 13.8 points per game. Again, kind of already alluded to who their X factor is going to be, and that is Oscar Clough. Oscar Clough is dominating the paint. He has to remain dominating the paint against Queens. He is averaging in his last 5 games 15.8 points per game and 9.2 rebounds per game. So Oscar Clough has been very integral for the Purdue Boilermakers, but I'm ultimately going with the Purdue Boilermakers because I think Oscar Clough continues the streak of games of him playing really well. I think Braden Smith, he's going to be a magician with the ball, and I think Fletcher Lawyer has a nice day from the outside. So give me the Purdue Boilermakers over Queens University. Next, we have Prairie View A&M, which their best player in Dante Horn lived up to the billing against Lehigh, while I was very disappointed in Nazir Whitlock and his performance. As I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. Nazir Whitlock at times for Lehigh looked like he was scared. Looked like the moment was too bright. I remember Nazir Whitlock had the ball in the left wing, caught the ball, tried to throw a post touch, wasn't there, didn't do anything with the ball. Ended up throwing a lazy pass to another guy's posting up, turnover. It then had the nerve to jog back on defense and run by the guys he laid it up. That left a bad taste in my mouth for Nazir Whitlock. Can't lie. But Prairie View A&M, they will be taking on the number 1 seed in their bracket, their region, Florida, which my bracket's out now. So y'all, if you don't know my bracket, I have Florida winning it all. But this game is 9:25 on TNT. Prairie View A&M led by Dante Horn, who is averaging 20.3 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, and 2 steals. Terrion Joseph averaging 17.8 points per game and 1.1 steal. And Corey Wells averaging 13.3 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and 1.2 blocks per game. Now, the X factor is the same X factor I had against Lehigh, which is Lance Williams, who scored 10 points against Lehigh, who was the 3rd leading scorer. I think if he could score the ball, help them, it'll give him a chance. I'm obviously going with Florida. I just told you I have them going on the way. So I'm going with Florida. Y'all know my winner. But Florida, led by Alex Condon, averaging 15 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.4 blocks. Thomas Hout, averaging 17.1 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 1.1 steals, and 1 block. And Ruben Chenelo, hold on. Oh, never mind. Ruben Chenelo, 11.2 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Xavier Lee. When Xavier Lee normally has a good game, Florida looks unbeatable. And if he can score the ball and facilitate the rock at a high level, 11.5 points per game, 4.2 assists, Florida's going to look is going to look really well against Prairie View A&M. And like I said, y'all know my winner is Florida because I just told you I got them winning it all. But I will say this. I did like how Prairie View was double teaming. They looked really good. They looked well coached against Lehigh with the double teams and everything, getting steals. They brought that intensity on the defensive side of the floor. I just think you can't double team three guys for Florida. You can't double team Chinelo, then Condon, then Houck. So that's gonna be tough. But give me Florida in this matchup. Next, the guy I've been telling y'all about, man, Dominique Daniels and Cal Baptist taking on Kansas. Cal Baptist is the 13 seed. Kansas is the 4 seed. This game is 9:45 on CBS. Now, Kansas is 14.5-point favorites in this matchup. Now, Cal Baptist, again, led by Dominique Daniels, who's top 5 in scoring in the country, averaging 23.2 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, and 1 steal. Martell Williams, averaging 12.7 points per game, 4.8 rebounds. And Jaden Jackson, averaging 9.3 points per game. Now, their X factor to me is going to be Jonathan Grimman, who got his hands full with both Flory Badunga and Bryson Tiller down low. Kansas, they are led by Darren Peterson, averaging 19.8 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, and 1.5 steals. Side note, I don't think we will see the Darren Peterson we've been seeing all year in the season. I think Darren Peterson will give it a go, unless it's a blowout. If it's like a super blowout, then he might come out the game. But I don't see him just pulling himself out the game randomly. I try not to believe those allegations, to be completely honest with y'all. But they also led by Floyd Badunga, averaging 13.5 points per game, 9.2 rebounds, 2.6 blocks. And Melvin Council averaging 12.9 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and 1.1 steals. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Bryson Tiller and helping dominate the paint with Badunga, who's averaging 8.2 points per game and 6 rebounds per game. But I'm ultimately going with Kansas. I think Kansas is just too much, too talented. Didn't even name Trey White, who's actually third on the team, scoring, averaging 13 points per game. Cal Baptist, really good story. First time ever in a tournament. Won the last WAC conference championship tournament. Did not win the WAC conference championship that went to Utah Valley, but really good team. Dominique Daniels is a really talented scorer, clutch guy. Just think Kansas has too much for Cal Baptist. Give me Cal Baptist in this matchup. Next, we have Furman versus UConn. Shout out to Paladins. Again, Furman, last time they won the tournament, upset UVA. UConn, man. UConn is looking to push for a national title run. I don't know if their team good enough to win the title. Non-con, though, they did do very well. But Furman, 15 seed, UConn 2 seed. This game is 10 o'clock on TBS. UConn is favored by 20.5 points. Again, Furman is led by Alex Wilkins, averaging 17.7 points per game, 4.7 assists. Cooper Bowser, who had a really good SoCon championship game against East Tennessee. He is averaging 14 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks. And Asa Thomas averaging 12.4 points per game and 3.9 rebounds. Now, that X factor is going to be Charles Johnston and his rebounding ability, averaging 9.1 rebounds. He's going to have to deal with Terrence Reed Jr. That's going to be a tough matchup for him. Now, UConn, again, led by Solo Ball. Solo Ball led, averaging 13.5 points per game. Alex Caravan, 12.6 points per game, 5.2 rebounds. And Terrence Reed Jr., averaging 13.7 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, and 2.1 blocks. My X factor, Silas Demery, the point guard transfer from Georgia, and him leading the team in assists, averaging 6.2 assists per game, getting guys in their right spots, getting Terrence Reed Jr. the ball and his post touches. I think he's going to be big for this one, but my winner is UConn. Just think UConn is too much. UConn is a team that could potentially win it all. They're really good in the non-con. I think their only loss was to Arizona, in the non-conference. Didn't have the Big East Conference that you would expect. I mean, losing to Marquette to tie St. John's for the Big East Championship was crazy. And then losing by 20 in the Big East Championship was also crazy. But, outside the conference, extraordinary year. So I have UConn beating Furman in this matchup. And the last game we have for y'all is the 10 seed Mizzou Tigers taking on the 7 seed Miami University Hurricanes. Again, shout out Coach Jay Lucas, bringing Miami from the bottom of the ACC to third in the ACC, because I want to say Virginia finished second. But either way, top 4 in the ACC, which is incredible for him in a one-year turnaround. Mizzou is led by Mark Mitchell, the transfer from Duke, averaging 18.3 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. T.O. Barrett averaging 8.9 points per game, 1.2 steals. Wait, I think Drake has actually beat Mizzou, was the team that beat that they beat last year. I'm gonna look it up in a second after I finish Mizzou stats. And Jaden Stone averaging 13.2 points per game, 5 rebounds per game. T.O. Barrett has been huge for Mizzou down the stretch of the season. The X factor to me is Trent Pierce and his 3-point shooting ability, averaging 39.8% from the 3-point line, 10.6 points per game for Mizzou. I think that'd be real big against a Miami team who can shoot the 3-ball with guys like Trey Donaldson, Dante Allen, True Washington. And then they also have a big interior presence with Malik Renau and Ernest Udoh. Before I get into Miami, I got to make sure that was right. I think Drake actually beat Mizzou. Hold on, give me 1 second. Drake last tournament win. The last, oh man, it went to the Missouri Valley tournament. It was, why? Here we go. Drake NCAA tournament history shows the last win. Come on, man. I hate when they don't just get to the point. It was Mizzou. Yep, 2025. Last year, they beat Mizzou. That's who it was. That's funny. So, it was Mizzou. But speaking of Miami, they are led by Malik Renau. Malik Renau is averaging 18.8 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, and 1 steal. Trey Donaldson averages 16.5 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and 1.3 steals. And True Washington averaging 12.1 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, and 1.9 steals to the transfer out of New Mexico. Their X factor to me is going to be Ernest Udoh controlling that paint, averaging 1.5 blocks per game and 9.3 rebounds. He's definitely been heaven sent for Miami with the interior presence of him and Renau. Renau needs to stay out of foul trouble, but I went with Miami, man. And it might be a little biased with this because I, again, love Jay Lucas as a head coach. I actually love Dennis Gates as a head coach too. But Miami, man, really good ACC school, really good team, man, can score the ball. Defensively, may have some troubles, but offensively can score the ball. And I think Mizzou gives up a ton of points. Mark Mitchell will be a handful for Miami, however. And T.O. Barrett as well, his ability to get into the basket. But ultimately, if Mizzou can't hit the 3-ball at a high level, I think that bodes bad for them. I am taking the Hurricanes to beat Mizzou in this matchup. I think Miami's a really good team. And I love Trey Donaldson in the clutch. Trey Donaldson down the stretch in the clutch has been really good. So if the game gets close, I love Trey Donaldson to make the plays, winning plays, as some say. I love for him to make winning plays. So give me Miami in this matchup. Now, that is all the games for today. That's all I have for y'all today. I will be back tomorrow to talk about the round of 32. And we have, I believe, 2 NIT games to talk about tomorrow. But the round of 32 is set for tomorrow. Again, my Spartans take on Louisville. Duke takes on TCU. That's going to be a fun game to watch. That's going to be that should be a good one. The 2 NIT games we have tomorrow are Liberty and Nevada. That's a good game. I really think that's a good one. And we have where'd it go? We only got 1 NIT game tomorrow. Oh Lord, that means I got 5 to talk about on top of the round of 32 on Sunday. That sucks. Unless maybe I missed it. No, Dayton and UNC Wilmington. That is also an NIT game to talk about tomorrow. And then Sunday we have 6 NIT games to talk about, as well as the round of 32. So Sunday's gonna be a lot of work. Tomorrow, a little easier load, 10 games. That was like Tuesday and Wednesday. Sunday, back to the 14 game grind. But that's all I have for y'all today. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps the channel. It helps the network. I appreciate anybody that came through. Appreciate Stand on Business being in the comments. Speaking of a network, we are a network and we have multiple shows. We have the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave every Monday and Thursday between 7 and 8:30. So make sure y'all tune into that. Unfazed they went live yesterday, so make sure you check out that episode that's featuring Joe and AJ. Next, we have BWT Baseball with Teddy. Teddy can correct me. Well, I don't think he's listening right now, but I believe the opening day is this Wednesday coming up, so baseball season is back. Next, we have FFC, Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs, who I believe went live right before me, so make sure y'all check him out. We have RBO, Real Ballers Only NBA show featuring Vaughn. My boy K got a collapsed lung. Season looking like it's a little dim. Unfortunate. Now, again, never had championship expectations for the Pistons. This is not a championship roster. Said that since day one. But I would have loved to see what this team was capable of. But that's RBO. Next, Dave's Doghouse, highlights and lowlights of sports. And again, thank God you didn't have to put my Spartans in the doghouse. They dominated. But I will say, if we don't win tomorrow, put us in the doghouse. I expect us to get out the first weekend of NCAA tournament. So we don't win tomorrow, put us in the doghouse. Next, we have In the Red Corner boxing show featuring Ty, Ricky, and Tomo for all your boxing needs. Check out In the Red Corner. They go live on Sundays, not every Sunday, but when they do go live, it is on Sundays. And that's around 6:30. And the last show we have is Zero Sports Talk with Griffey. Again, the newest show in the network. I don't think he does live episodes. I think he drops pre-recorded episodes. So make sure you check him out and catch him when you can. And please like, comment, share, subscribe to those shows as well. It helps the channel. It helps the network. And if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now, college basketball will be winded down. And just a little channel update, as I always do. When college basketball winds down, I will be going back to one episode a week. And we will be mostly reviewing like my preseason predictions in college football. Not doing coaching carousel yet. We'll start reviewing coaching carousels. I normally want to give them like 3-4 years, so I might not even do it next year. It might be 2 years from now. But coaching carousels will be coming up where we review those shortly. Well, in a year or two. I am going to do a review of the MSU basketball season. So it's a lot of things that comes up after college basketball season is over. I don't go mute until the start of college football season. We still push out content, just not as often. Like I said, once a week, maybe go twice, depending on how I'm feeling, but it's mostly going to be once a week. Y'all enjoy these games of basketball, man. We got basketball all day again today. Hopefully I don't fall asleep. I didn't wake up at 5:30 today, so hopefully we don't fall asleep. Hopefully we can enjoy these games. And that's pretty much it I got for y'all today. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know around what time. I don't know. Let's see. What time does these games start tomorrow? Probably same time. But until then, I'm gone. Peace. Oh, hold on. I'm not gone yet because I gotta set the outro. The outro's not set. My bad. That's not it. Here we go.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.